Okay, the court is back in session. It's a special review docket. Our next case, or next two cases that we have are cause number 329-948 and cause number 330-256. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Kenneth Wayne Thibodeau or Kenneth Wayne Thibodeau Jr. We have Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Thibodeau, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Thibodeau, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, you may put your hand now. How are you doing, Mr. Thibodeau?
Good.
That's good. Mr. Thibodeau, you're here represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Bruce Smith. Attorney Smith, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Your Honor. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Smith, do you waive a record in Mr. Thibodeau's cases?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
Mr. Thibodeau, I have before me in cause number 330-256, and information, oops, hold on a minute. Mistake on this one. Mr. Thibodeau, I have before me in cause number 330-256, a document that is titled information. This information has been filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. This information alleges that on or about May 21st of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of burglary of a vehicle. Mr. Thibodeau, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Thibodeau, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. On page 2 of this document, Mr. Thibodeau, look like you place your first name, Kenneth, on a line next to a box that says check nolo contendere, which means no contest. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next page, on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of the Defendant's Right of Appeal, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Mr. Thibodeau, did you also sign this document?
Yes, sir.
At the top of the same document, there are 2 boxes that are checked. First box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, did you sign a document out there on paper that is titled Discovery Certification?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I have just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Smith, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, state, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1 and State's Exhibit Number 2, the probable cause affidavit?
Yes, Your Honor. State offers both states 1 and 2.
Any objections?
No objections.
No objection, States 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Smith, you have advised in counsel, Mr. Thibodeau, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor, there's not.
Mr. Thibodeau, your attorney, Mr. Smith, has advised and counseled you. Are you
Yes, sir.
satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers are freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for the defendant's plea of no contest in the burglary of a vehicle case appearing in clause number 330256, the state's recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 180 days. However, we're asking that the court suspend the imposition of that confinement, place the defendant on community supervision for a period of 12 months, and order that he comply with the standard conditions in terms of probation to include paying a $1,000 fine, the cost of court, performing 60 hours of community service restitution, having no contact with a Sheldon Alexander, paying $250 in restitution to a Devin Seipert, C-Y-P-E-R-T, and the conditions, the state is not opposed to the conditions of probation in this case, and concurrent with the conditions of probation in his recent felony case that the defendant recently pled to. I believe that felony cause number appears in the plea paperwork. And lastly, the state agrees to dismiss pursuant to chapter 1245, the unlawful carrying of a weapon case appearing in cause number 329948, and also the defendant's agreement to forfeit the weapon involved in the case as part of the agreement as well, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Thibodeau, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail in this case because you'll be placed on probation for 12 months. During the 12-month probationary period, you will be required to pay a fine of $1,000 and court costs of $342. The total fine and court cost is $1,342. You'll also be required to pay restitution of $250 to Devin Seipert. You will be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $220. Mr. Thibodeau, will you be able to pay the $220 each month?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, you will also be required to perform 60 hours of community service. And as I stated earlier, you'll be pay restitution payable to Devin Seipert. You cannot have any contact with Shelton Alexander. You will forfeit the weapon in cause number 329948. This case will run concurrent with cause number 21-37763. You will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of probation. Now, Mr. Smith, in reference to the state's the motion to forfeit the weapon, it's my understanding that you filled out those forms at the jail. Is that correct?
What we filled out, Your Honor, was I filled out the state's motion for forfeiture, and I had my client sign where he was supposed to sign on that motion.
Okay.
And I described the weapon in the motion.
Okay, and that's the weapon that was, the weapon that's being forfeited is in cause number 329948. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Now, Mr. Thibodeau, your attorney presented you with a document to forfeit the weapon in cause number 329-948. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did your attorney go over that document with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that's contained in that document?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in that document true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the court will be signing that document to forfeit the weapon in cause number 329-948. Now, Mr. Thibodeau, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in this case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thibodeau, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have made in this case. And Mr. Thibodeau, pursuant to your plea bargain agreement, the court will be signing the dismissal in cause number 331018. Now, Mr. Thibodeau, I noted that your court, the probation fees in this case is $60, which is included in the $220 that you're really required to pay per month. But because you are currently on probation, then what will happen is the probation office is going to make that adjustment. In this case, is going to adjust it down. So probably instead of you paying $220 per month, your probation fee is going to be taken out of the $220 per month. So it should be reduced. You should be paying about $160 per month. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Thibodeau, this will conclude your cases. You can follow the bailiff. Just knock on that door and follow the bailiff. You'll be free to go. And you have a blessed day.
You
And
too.
Mr. Smith, this is your last case.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go as well, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Your Honor. You too.